Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Rank 11 William Sims on the screen with Azerlane Scharnhorst and Andrew Cunningham as his inspirations. This is the build I'm using on the Tier 5 Premium American Battleship West Virginia in the current Ranked Season 9. This is a first impressions video on that season. As you can see, we are off to a pretty strong start with a 73% win rate over 11 games. This West Virginia is absolutely dominating ranked for me personally. And I'll talk a little bit about why that is and why the West Virginia is a strong pick. First up, on this ranked battle, you'll notice there are no destroyers in it. I think out of the 11 games that I've played, only 2 or 3 of them have featured destroyers. And in fact, one of my losses was actually due to a friendly destroyer, a Gnevny, being AFK for the first 2 or 3 minutes of the match, before he finally got back from whatever he was doing. I don't know, maybe he disconnected, maybe he was getting some food, who knows. But when he got back, he sailed into a cap and promptly got torpedoed by the enemy destroyer. In any case, very few games have I gone through so far in my 11 games this ranked season. Very few of them have featured destroyers. It seems like this is the battleship meta for this season. And obviously this season is a little different from past ones. It features a 5 versus 5 format rather than 7 versus 7. So battleships can exert an outsized influence. I think you could see from my stats there, I have been exerting an outsized influence with the West Virginia, averaging over 2,000 base XP per game, almost 100,000 damage, 1.5 ships sunk. Yeah, this West Virginia is a beast, and we'll talk a little bit about why that is. The main reason comes down to the guns. These are 16-inch guns at Tier 5, and there are only 2 battleships at Tier 5 with 16-inch guns. The first is, of course, the West Virginia, and the second is the Mutsu. But the West Virginia is far superior to the Mutsu for 2 reasons. Number 1, the guns on the West Virginia, and do keep in mind that I have spec'd heavily into accuracy with William Sims, Azerlane Scharnhorst, and Cunningham as inspirations. But the guns on the West Virginia are incredibly accurate and very reliable, at least in comparison to the Mutsu's guns, which are trolly and very inconsistent. They can, get big heavy hits on enemy ships, but they aren't reliable. And so the West Virginia, because of that reason, much better pick than the Mutsu. Gun accuracy and consistency are very important. Also, the West Virginia is better armored than the Mutsu. Now, it does have 26 millimeters of plating pretty much everywhere except along the lower armor belt, which is quite thick and does a nice job of protecting the citadel for the most part, as long as you keep it angled. However, pretty much every battleship at this tier has somewhere in the range of 25 to 26 millimeter armor plating. I don't think there are any battleships at Tier 5 with better armor plating than that. As such, every battleship that the West Virginia encounters in this ranked season, without any exceptions, at least to my knowledge, you can correct me if I am wrong in the comments, but every battleship the West Virginia comes up against, it can overmatch the armor, which is extremely important. And not only that, these 16-inch shells do an incredible amount of damage. Basically, the only downside of the West Virginia is that it is very slow. So positioning is important. You don't want to take yourself out of the game by going to a flank. Conversely, since there are so few of you, you really don't want to put yourself in a position where you don't have coverage of the map. You can see my team has pretty much gone toward the Charlie side of the map, but here I am near the Alpha side. I know there's a Normandy and a California here. Neither of them can overmatch my armor. I can overmatch the armor of both of them, and so I feel fairly confident in my ability to take on two battleships ostensibly alone. You see there's the Normandy. We're going to take our first shot at him here, and maybe we'll get to see just what these guns are capable of. I killed a Fuso in the span of 2 salvos in the game I played before recording this. I think this was actually my first or second game this ranked season, and right now I'm feeling pretty good about it. I plan to try to continue and advance up the ranks as far as possible, unless I start getting frustrated or angry, in which case I will probably stop. But West Virginia, very good performer for me so far. You can see we're up to 76,000 damage, and things are looking pretty good for our team. Seems like they are probably going to secure the Bravo cap. I think they're going to end up securing the Charlie cap as well. And there are 3 of them over there against 1 enemy battleship, so presumably they can handle that while I deal with the other 2 over here. Been doing a decent job of whittling down this Normandy, and it looks like I'm getting support in the form of a friendly battleship firing high explosive. Not turning out to be very lucrative for him. I am dealing the most damage to this Normandy, I do believe. And this California is pretty full health. There is a lot more hit points to be taken. I should hasten to add, though, that with ranked, even if the meta is as I say it is, where primarily battleships are the dominant forces. Occasionally you'll see the destroyers and the cruisers. I haven't seen too many yet. There's our first kill of the match, by the way, on that Normandy. He never had a chance, really. Anyway, a lot of the time you're probably going to be finding yourself in games without destroyers, and I think if there are no destroyers in the match, people get this sense that the caps don't matter so much anymore. No, the caps matter a lot. The caps are the most important thing in ranked, no matter what. Without exception, it doesn't matter what the teams are composed of. Your goal should always, without exception, be to secure 2 of 3 of the cap circles and hold them for the majority of the game, and then secondarily do damage to the enemy ships and sink them if possible. But number 1, always keep in mind the caps, the most important. That is why I came over to this flank. I recognized that there was this California and this Normandy sailing over here. Had I not come and joined the rest of my team, they would have been able to secure this cap without probably any resistance. They probably wouldn't have even been spotted. That's why I came over here, just to protect this cap, essentially. And obviously, at this point, it sorta doesn't matter, because the California is the last ship left alive, and my team has pretty much thoroughly dominated this match. Basically, right now, all I'm doing is reversing and farming damage off this California. Got that friendly battleship who has been supporting me by shooting high explosive at the broadside of this California for the good part of the last couple minutes, the better part of the last couple minutes. Maybe another tip for you, don't shoot the high explosive at broadside battleships if you are sailing a battleship. I don't care what ship it is. I think this particular player on my team might be a Normandy. Don't understand that at all. The Normandy's AP is just fine penetrating the broadsides of battleships. That guy probably would have gotten a lot more damage had he been shooting it at this California. Instead, he's going to end up ramming the California and ending the game that way. I'm trying to finish off the California before my teammate can get that ram, and it is going to put me up to 142,000 damage, which is a significant amount when there are only 5 ships on the enemy team. Anyway, first impressions on ranked. Even though you don't keep a star if you are in the number 1 spot on the losing team, and that supposedly makes it more hardcore, but actually probably just makes it more frustrating. Even so, I am having fun with this West Virginia. I think it's probably the strongest pick for ranked. Let me know what you guys are taking out into ranked in the comment section below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already done that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.